All right, y'all. We are live. You're live with Lonzo and Dusty right here. It's 6 o'clock, y'all. On the Tuesday after. Wow, it ain't Tuesday no more. It's Wednesday, damn it. Anyway, folks, we live. We are live. We are live, but I'm frozen on the screen. Let's see what we're gonna make. How we're gonna make this happen, y'all. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve after dark to concerts in the park. You're live with Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast hip hop. We do this every week, y'all. Sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. You're live with Lonzo and Dusty. Dusty in the dugout, and my ass is frozen. And let me see what I can do to change this right quick. What up, Dusty One?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. At least they got the good profile of you, man. It's a good profile.
Well, I'm looking good. I'm just frozen as shit. That's all. Let me see if I can change something right quick. Keep talking.
Most deaf. Yeah, do your thing, man. Welcome to the show, everyone. Hit that like button when you join the building. Thank you so much for doing that off top. And if this is your first time joining the channel, please hit that subscribe button. You are tuned into Not Without Alonzo. I am Dusty Vision. He's dealing with some technical difficulties over there, so we're going to let him do his thing. But shout out to my boy Marlon in the building. Vista Light 1972, Chris Stacks chiming in early. Now we got two Alonzos, twin Alonzos. And let's see, are both of them frozen?
No.
We'll figure it out. This is the behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't get to see. But yeah, today we're going to be talking a little bit about some West Coast hip hop, specifically some history, because we are coming up on, man, I think it's next week or the week after, the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And I put 50th in quotes. But as we've said in the past few weeks, no one is going to tell our story, the West Coast version, like Alonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip hop. So you guys are in for a treat. We got a bunch of questions. I got a lot of questions. You guys were hitting us up in the comments with some good questions. So I made sure I copied and pasted all of them. And we're definitely going to get to them. How you looking over there, Lonzo? Yep. It's like we lost Lonzo. It could just turn into the Dusty Vision show, which most of you are not here for because I don't have the hip hop knowledge and hip hop history that my man Lonzo has, but I'm definitely going to vibe out with you guys until, how's everybody's summer going, man? It's almost over. I'm hearing kids talking about they're already going to school, back to school next week. I'm like, what the hell? When I was a kid, we didn't go back to school until damn near after, what was it, Labor Day? Is that the one that's in September? We had all the way until September. I don't know what they're doing to these poor kids.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right, I'm here.
There he is.
Dusty's here. We're back.
Yeah. We're back, baby.
We thawed out, looking good. Hold on, we got to change cameras. Change cameras. And we'll be back rolling, folks. Bam.
There we go, baby.
Go.
That's my man Lonzo right there doing a damn thing. Yeah, I was just talking to him about how when we were kids, Lonzo, because I'm already hearing about kids starting to go to school next week. I'm like, damn, it's like mid-August, dog. Like when we were kids, we didn't go till after Labor Day, bro.
Never. We always, Labor Day always had a double, what you call that? A bittersweet ending. It was the last barbecue holiday of the year, but the first day of school, next day. God dang, I hated that. But I was in Catholic school. I don't know about you, but my buddies that went to public school, they started the next week. So I was always envious of that.
Now, you going to Catholic school, did you have to dress in a certain attire, or were you able to wear whatever you wanted?
Little salt and pepper pants with the white shirt, the green tie, and the green shirt, the green sweater. Hell yeah! And my mama had the damn tuition pinned to my damn shirt every first of the month.
Did you like try to, add your own style to it, or were you able to? Like, what was the day before? What was the day before school for Lonzo? I know it was kind of a downer, but I used to look forward to the first day of school. Just got my clothes out, my shoes. I was looking forward to seeing the girls.
It was never that bad for me, Doc. My dad would let me buy button-down shirts, the button-down collars, and I always liked that look. I always preferred the button-down collar look to anything else. And my screen, okay. And it was cool because I had a little tie, and every once in a while, my daddy let me sport this collar bar. We get a little tie to the collar bar, like a little gangster. Oh, that was cool as shit, man. So yeah, and then I tuck my sleeves. I still tuck my sleeves up right to this day. If I wear a hoodie or a sweater, and it's not too cold, I always tuck my sleeves up and gave me a little Catholic school swagger.
There it is, man.
I always got a new lunch pail every day, every week. You know, we had steel lunch pails back in the day. Them thermoses and shit, the aluminum. You drop that some bitch, you might be drinking aluminum. Oh man.
Good old days before the government cracked down on shit like that.
Come on, man. Come on. I'm frozen again. Damn.
That's all crazy. Good, man. It's all good. Well, yeah, let me ask you something, Lonzo, because I was just interviewing someone recently, and he mentioned the LA street scene. And I guess now it's known as the LA County Fair. Apparently they moved it from Los Angeles to Pomona due to what I understand was the rise in gang violence. Do you remember when it was called the LA street scene? Because that's the first I think I ever heard of that.
I'm trying to get back in there.
In LA, remember that? Oh, there you go.
All right, now say it again now.
Yeah. No, I was interviewing a cat recently, and he was born in the 50s, so he was telling me about the LA street scene. But now it's known as the LA County Fair. Apparently, they moved it from Los Angeles to Pomona, it's still there to this day, from what I understand. Around 85, 86, due to gang violence. This is the first I ever heard of the LA street scene. The first I ever heard it called the LA street scene. Do you remember them having it in LA? Okay, talk to me, man.
Hell yes. Now, as far as them moving it to Pomona, I beg to differ with that one, because back in the 70s, and sometime about 76, 77, when I first started DJing, running with the Vega Club, we would roll to the Pomona Fair, 20 of us in Vegas. So I don't know if that was, maybe they took some.
Maybe he's getting them mixed up.
Maybe so. Because I remember in the 80s, being an LA Dream Team. In fact, me and Snake Puppy was talking about this Sunday on our Sunday praise walk. Because that was the first time that LA Dream Team and World Class Record Crew got a chance to get on stage together. And they promoted it almost like a goddamn wrestling show. Okay. Me and Rudy was on the stage that Saturday. The show was that Sunday. Me and Rudy, it came out to a little preview thing that Saturday. And we're going to turn this place out. Woo. We talked shit the whole time. And because Dream Team was hot. I can't take that Rockberry Jam Dream Team in the House, that shit was hot as fish grease. And so we did the show. And this is the part, I never told you this story before.
I don't remember the LA street scene at all. It doesn't ring a bell. I mean, we probably have. We told so many good stories, but it's been a while if you did.
LA street scene, we were signed to CBS, one of our first gigs at the pad in a long time. And we had been rocking all over the country. And we was tight. We was tight. And I never forget, it was my part on our song called World Class Freak. And I'm faking on the keyboard, doing my thing. And right in front of me, this girl, she was partying her ass off, and somebody hit her elbow, and her beer spilled on somebody else. And some dude pushed her guy pushed him, and man, just like wildfire, the fight just spread out. Okay. And after about 5 minutes, pow, pow. Now, two things happened that day that really tripped me out. Jazzy D, a young up-and-coming rapper, his young dumb ass out there trying to see what's going on. The fight is turned into a damn melee. We ran off stage. I grabbed this fool, put him on the stage with us.
You told this story. That's so funny. Keep going.
Before we can get under the stage, okay, LAPD is under the stage already. LAPD, about 6 of them under the stage hiding. I'm like, hey, man, I thought y'all supposed to protect and serve. Oh, they're going to be shooting at us first. They start shooting anybody. I'm like, ain't that a bitch? Now, it just started to calm down a little bit. We come from under the stage. I saw something that I was supposed to testify in court behind, because this photographer got his camera busted by the police. And the police was coming through there on them horses, them look like fucking Clydesdales. They had them long ass billy clubs. I'm talking, these billy clubs got to be about 5 feet long. Okay, they riot sticks, but they have one when they had the horses. They coming through the downtown LA in front of the court building. We were in front of the federal building. They was playing police polo with people's heads on them horses. They riding through crack. I'm not bullshitting. They playing polo on people's heads, okay? Homeboy got his camera broken. Also, I witnessed something I heard, but I never saw before in my life. I witnessed there is a move that the cops can do to the horse, will kick the shit out your ass with either foot, okay? There's a move that the cop can kick that horse a certain way, and that horse will kick you with either foot, okay? They was kicking people left and right. No bullshit. Cops wasn't falling off, and people were flying everywhere. Meanwhile, they were playing polo on anybody that came near the horse or the cop. No bullshit. And a photographer for the LA Times, one of the newspapers, tracked me down because I saw him right after the event, and he got fucked up. The cop, I don't know if he got kicked or got hit with the stick or whatever. He got fucked up. I gave him my number. He called me up to talk. He wanted to sue, and I guess they settled out of court because he never got back to me. But yeah, it was some real shit. That was last year. They did the street scene. It was a big event, dude. It might be about 30,000, 40,000 people out there.
Wow.
Oh, it was huge. It was huge. It was all downtown LA, right in where the federal building is, on the courts of the federal building. They leveled the stage out, and asked me how I know, because I had to go back down there and do some tax shit. So yeah, it was a whole little courtyard down there between the streets. They blocked the streets off on both sides, and it's a mall, a little shopping center, like across the street from the federal building, and it was all the way over there. So that's where my girl was sitting at the time. She was over there. Her and her sister was posted up watching the show from the other side across the street.
You know, we talk about this every summer, and I'm bringing it up specifically because the gentleman that I interviewed, who is about your age as well, he mentioned the Watts Summer Festival and Watts Stacks. Yes. Can you break down the differences, because they get confused a lot, and like just explain the scene, who was performing. Talk to us about Watts Stacks and Watts Summer Festival.
I went to Watts Stacks. I was 16 years old. Cost $1 to see Isaac Hayes. He was a headliner. The Staple Singers, Joe Tex, I think Johnny Taylor, everybody that was on Stax Records. Stax was a label out of Memphis. Everybody on Stax Records was on the Watch Stax show, and it was held at the Coliseum. Coliseum holds 100,000 people theoretically. Well, that's the capacity, but they had the stage in a strange ass place. The stage was actually up by the goalpost, and it was facing the other goalpost, but most of the seats were on the side by the 50-yard line. So you could see the acts, but you really couldn't see the acts. You was looking at the side of their heads unless you was on the other side, which is about another 50, 60 yards down the road, down the arena. And they had some kind of arrangement with the Coliseum that they wouldn't let anybody on the field because they had a football game that Sunday. I think it was the Rams or the Raiders were playing. I think it might have been the Raiders playing back then. They had a game that Sunday, so they didn't want the field to get messed up. But no matter what happened, every time the band started playing, folks come out the stands, just start pouring out the stands, start locking. That was the dance back then. Everybody started locking and dancing, the soul training and shit. And at some point in time, it's no bullshit. You don't see it in the movies. I saw the movie about Watts Stacks, but you had to be there to know they was bullshit. And they edited a lot of this stuff out. At one point in time, Jesse, I Have a Dream, Keep a Hope Alive Jackson told the Crips to form a human line around the track of the Coliseum and don't let nobody down. But the Crips wasn't that popular yet. People didn't know who they really were. So people came down anyway, and they started mobbing people. And police just threw their hands up and walked behind the stage, and like, we ain't dealing with this, okay? And after Jesse realized that was a bad idea, they took the Crips off of alert, and the cops came back down. But by that time, man, it was just chaos everywhere. I mean, it was cool. You know, I listened to Al Sharpton. I listened to different people talk about that event. They must have been backstage, because where I was, in the bathrooms. This is when leather jackets was the prime target of anybody gangbanging. And I'll never forget, man, we in the bathroom taking the piss, and this dude, the Crips walked in the bathroom. This dude was taking the piss. He never stopped pissing, just took his jacket off and gave it to him. Because he didn't want to get his ass whooped. That's no bullshit. They was going through the crowd just taking jackets, okay? No bullshit. It was stampedes because shit started breaking out from time to time. It got fucked up. It got fucked up.
Tookie and the main founders were supposed to be there, right? Yeah.
Tookie and Jamil. They was walking
Jamil
around
Barnes.
There. Yep.
Big dude.
Walking around there.
Big dude.
And they coveralls with no shirts on, and just had mobbed the people. Cats was joining the Crips that day just to keep from getting beat up. Old dudes joining the Crips just to keep from getting beat up. And then people wonder why I never gangbanged. Dude, it was too much of a mob mentality. It was too much shit going on, and nah, dude, it wasn't worth the hassle for me.
You know, speaking of leather jackets, there's a popular story in the early 70s, I believe 72, 73, which would have made you about 14 or 15, if my math is correct. Apologize if I'm off.
Like
yeah, but the killing of Baba Louie, it was in Hollywood, I do believe, that made the Crips a nationwide thing to where they were on all news stations across. You know, like you said earlier, people didn't really know about the Crips. They heard Crips, Cribs. It was just but when they killed this young man for his leather jacket after a Hollywood concert, I think it was Rick James or something. Go ahead. Talk to me about what you remember about that.
It was a Soul Train event. It was a Soul Train party at the Hollywood Palladium. And they chased Homeboy out in the streets, and I guess he fell, and they beat him to death and took his jacket. And that was like the first time anything that had ever happened, blacks on blacks like that, somebody actually died. And they was trying to figure out what a Crip was, you know. Was it because they Crips used to always carry canes. They was known for carrying canes. And nobody knew whether it was because they had cripple or was short for being Crip. They didn't know. And still, you know, they later said it was something community restoration in progress, something like that. But that was like kind of after the fact. I don't remember that back in the day being the factor. But yeah, that was when the first time it was a Soul Train event. Rick James might have performed there. I think that was before Rick James. Though Rick James, he wasn't around. It's like 70.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm
like
wrong.
73. I don't think it was Rick James, Doc, but it was a Soul Train event. That I do know for sure. Yeah.
Do you remember your parents talking about the Crips and Bloods, or like or Crips specifically around this time?
Not really, because we still had Black Panthers at the same time. I was trying to be a Black Panther. I was trying to be on the militant side. I couldn't get a leather jacket or a natural, or grow a goddamn natural. It was rough at my house. But a lot of the kids in my neighborhood, they joined WLCAC, which looked like the Black Panthers. WLCAC, Watts Labor Community Action Committee. They still around today. One of the guys that was one of the sons of the founders, lived on my street, and they would march. I mean, it was not a political march. They would just march in unison up and down the street, practice whatever the case may be. And I thought that shit was cool as fuck. I wanted to be down, but again, I'm a Catholic school kid. I got to wear that green shit come Monday morning. That black leather jacket ain't working, son. You got to take this tuition to school. Shit.
You know, I wonder if, and I'm asking you if you know, if that Baba Louie situation in Hollywood was a main story because it happened in Hollywood. Because is it safe to assume that it was already happening in the hoods, or was this just the first time like anything like this was really happened? You know what I mean?
That's the first time we ever heard anything like that made the news. There was something else happening in the hood. It wasn't newsworthy yet, and that's when people don't realize. If you think about some of the things that you've seen on the news back in the day with Jerry Dunphy and Walter Cronkite. They almost promoted shit, man. It was even during '92 riots. I remember watching certain things on TV, man. And back in the '80s, especially, these dudes almost promoted cocaine to the point everybody wanted to buy some. Cocaine, the new party drug of the '80s, the champagne drug of the '80s, and you know it just promoted it. And same thing with gangbanging. Then when the riots came out, I remember seeing people in front of the doggone stores. We're here at the corner of Slauson in Vermont, in front of a furniture store, and there's not a cop in sight. There's no police anywhere. People are having a field day, and they pan the camera on the store. You see people walking out of refrigerators and TV sets or whatever the case may be. And it was almost like they were just promoting people to be where the police weren't. And it's just the news did a lot of that back. When you look back at it now, because the news was different, you realize that maybe, I don't know, it was intentional or just unintentional. They just promoted a lot of bullshit in the community.
Crazy. Let's move on to some questions. We got a lot from this week, last week, and others that I copied and pasted from the comments on Lonzo's channel. Once again, hit that like button before we continue if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Nightbreed asked us a couple times. I was trying to get to it last week, but he's asking it. The bass shaker idea that EAZY had before Dr. Dre. Can you shed some light on that, Lonzo? Do you know anything about that?
I heard very little about that, dude. I can't elaborate on that one too much. I heard about it, but it was kind of it was like an idea, and you know, they did any research to do a partnership or anything like that. But I can't elaborate much on that one. I do know for a fact that the detachable cords on beats came from Lonzo, because Dre was always tearing up my damn headphones, and I made the comment they need to make headphones with detachable cords. And that's the only thing really messed up on it. If you don't crush them, only thing messed up on headphones is the cords. Okay, and he was notorious for trying to get on the phone or doing too much at one time. And next thing you know, a brand new set of headphones would be only one ear. The only thing caused that is the cord broke on the inside, and because it wasn't detachable, you had to go buy another pair of headphones. That's no bullshit.
Yeah, I can't even lie. I think every rookie studio engineer or person that does this, like myself, has messed up headphones. Because before I learned a couple times, I would just get up and didn't even realize the damn thing was head. Then they go flying across the room. So I can see how you can go through many a headphone, man.
Yeah, next thing you know, you got one ear. You're doing this shit the whole damn time.
Someone wants to know, Lonzo, can you shed some light on L.A. Dre and his role at Ruthless? Is it true him and Dre had similar ears and became a technician?
L.A. Dre was a serious. He was a music guy from the neighborhood. L.A. Dre, me, L.A. Dre, Stan the Guitar Man. We all come from the same neighborhood. Okay. L.A. Dre played keyboards. L.A. Dre was in bands before he got with N.W.A. or Dre or Ruthless or whoever it was. Talented brother. And in fact, L.A. Dre is kind of responsible for the world-class Wrecking Crew sound to a certain degree. I'm at Eve After Dark. L.A. Dre comes to the club one day. He got this little machine. It looked like a vocoder. I mean, it looked like a equalizer, but it was a vocoder. And he said he bought it from a guy who got mad because it didn't work. He said the equalizer don't work. And it was a vocoder. I'm looking for a vocoder. It was a Roland 350 vocoder. And he sold it to me for $100. And that gave us our sound for Juice and a lot of our other records. And we didn't use him on any of our projects per se, but I know Stan the Guitar Man was around, and later on, Dre recruited both of them to come do tracks for Ruthless and Cuba, if I ain't mistaken.
Nice. Let's see. D Minor wants to know, how important was Donovan Smith to the sound of Wrecking Crew and N.W.A.? Break down Donovan Smith.
Donovan Smith, they call him the biker. I was with Donovan early this year at spent a couple days with him in Vegas and then at the NAMM show. And he was the first guy that we knew had a full-blown studio on this side of town. When we first met him, he had a 24-track recorder, but he had 3 8-track mixers tied to that because all he could do was cut. He could not mix because he couldn't have the control at one time. And a dude named George introduced me to Donovan. And when I got ready to do my records, I went to Donovan. He was charging like $35 an hour, which was right up my alley. We went over there with Daniel Sulfur, another keyboard player that Unknown turned me on to, who was sitting in the studio. In fact, he's over here playing on his phone right now. Maybe I get him on the channel. Get him to say something in a few minutes. And Donovan was doing a lot of rock and roll stuff. And we were the first ones to bring him anything hip hop. And we literally paid for most of the stuff in the studio. When he got his Trident board, the first we got our CBS deal. And when he got his Trident board, we were the first one. We cut it we cut there first. And then he was able to get the Trident board later on because we ended up mixing some of our songs at Larrabee. I think we took from the 12 inches to Larrabee. We wanted a fatter sound. But yeah, Donovan played a big role because he helped solidify, because nobody knew exactly how to get what we wanted. He had the technical skills, and we just told him what we wanted, the fat bass, whatever the case may be. And he also knew all the studios to go to get certain sounds, because every studio won't give you the sound that you want. And I think when we did, I think it was Juice, we went to Larrabee's and cut and mixed at Larrabee's. But everything else, turn off the lights, was all done at his studio. By the time he had his Trident board, he was balling. But yeah, he played a big role in everything, because everybody, Wrecking Crew, early N.W.A, we all supported Donovan, and he was a big part of what we did.
Nice. Big Marlon wants to know, yo, Unc, got any connection with Chris the Glove Taylor? And before you answer that, give us a breakdown of what you remember about Chris the Glove Taylor's come up.
Chris the Glove Taylor is a good buddy of mine. We talk all the time. Chris was a crosstown DJ. He played over there at the Radiotron with Ice-T. They had a couple of records. I forgot the name of his records. It was unknown to tell me. He's sitting right here. But him and Ice-T was a duo, and we were doing East Side stuff. They was doing West Side stuff. And at some point in time, Dre started dealing with Chris the Glove, and Chris kind of got him exposed to the West Side of town. And they started doing stuff together. Then when Dre blew up, he brought him in, because Chris he's a true musician. He's a true musician and a producer. So he has a whole different ear background. I think he was a church kid, if I ain't mistaken. Let me see something right. Hold on now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And Big Marlon, if you want to hear a dope interview that I did with Chris the Glove Taylor, go to YouTube after the show, search Dusty Vision, Chris the Glove Taylor, and I did a whole hour interview with him, and we got into it deep, man. This dude has produced for the likes of Nas, Foxy Brown. I mean, he was that big when Dre ended up going over to Aftermath and starting his own thing. Chris the Glove Taylor did a lot of stuff over there for a lot of Dre's early projects. Yeah, he's a beast when it comes to that whole thing, man. Yeah.
I had his number here.
I mean, I probably have it in my phone, actually. I could text it over to you. Hold on one second. I bet you I have it.
Okay.
Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Boom.
We were talking about doing something. We just haven't gotten around to it as usual.
If Chris Taylor comes up. Nah. Oh, well. It's all good. Well, we'll get him. We'll definitely get him on the show, because he has a very, very, very interesting story. Let's move on. Lonzo, Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch. Can you talk to us about Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch? I was looking at a picture, the black and whites that people would use for advertising, and it said Crunch Records in Inglewood. Do you know anything about their history and Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch?
I know. I just saw Charles Saturday. I always thought Charles, they called him Charles.
I swear none of this is planned. Everybody probably like, man, y'all bullshit. I bring up a name and then you be like, oh, I just talked to him. None of this is planned.
We was all together Saturday at the white party.
All real shit. This is all spur of the moment shit.
It was a big white party here in LA, and all the old school players showed up. And I wasn't going to go, but I did, and I'm glad I did, because hooking out with Charles for a minute, he took a picture of me, one of my friends, and he and I are talking about doing the Eve After Dark reunion at a venue not far from my house. Hold on, I got it. Let me see if I can catch him. Hold on.
I'm telling y'all, none of this is planned, man.
This is how we roll.
I just throw those alley-oops, and Lonzo slams it in the bucket. So we're gonna try to reach out to Is it Charlie from Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch? I would love to hear his story.
Charles Washington.
And make sure you put him on a speaker because we can't hear anything.
Okay, hold on there.
Hit that like button. Exclusive West Coast stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button. Smash it. Share it.
Let's see if we can answer the phone. Can you hear it now, Regan?
Yeah, perfect.
Please leave your message for...
Can't get him on. Shoot him a text and see if he calls in.
Yo, Charlie Wu, Lonzo. I'm on doing my podcast with my boy Dusty Vision. Your name just came up. I'm trying to give you some love on the air here. If you get back in the next 30 minutes, give me a call. You know the number. All right, peace.
There it is, man. Yeah, till he calls in or hopefully he calls back. But if not, give us a breakdown of what you remember about their come up.
Oh, they were regulars at Eve After Dark. Them, One Armed Bandit, rest in peace. You know, he died. He just passed a couple of weeks ago. And Anthony King of Pop, they were all regulars. In fact, they would come to Eve After Dark and dance on Friday, go to Soul Train, dance all day, come back to the Eve and dance all night again. And they all did my documentary, my Eve documentary, because they were a big part of the whole Eve era. And it just, you know, they Soul Train dancers, Eve After Dark. It just made for that was all a part of a vibe, man, that we created, and nobody really was trying to create history. We just was a bunch of kids having fun, but because we weren't focused on shooting each other, we all grown senior citizens still hanging out. Like I said, we was all together this Sunday at the big white party at the Hyatt Regency Hotel.
That's dope, dude. That's dope. Talk to us about One Armed Bandit. Rest in peace.
Man, One Armed Bandit. That was my dude. Name was David. His real name was David Smythe. He went to Linwood High School. He was always a talented dancer. I should tease him because he'd come to the club. You swear he just left Broadway. He always wore a hat. He always wear a sport coat or a trench coat with a scarf around his neck, like Ben Vereen or some shit. Okay, I used to tease him. Do you think he Ben Vereen or something? Ben Vereen, dude. And he come out there and dance. He was the first person I ever saw do the lowrider thing. I mean, he would get down and hit switches and with knees. I mean, stuff he would do, and he was still doing this up until the time he got sick. Man, I'm talking about last year. I went to a pop locking party, a picnic, and he was there, and he's still 60-something years old doing his lowrider move, and something that I've never seen anybody else duplicated the way he had. I mean, it was like a real car, like he had hydraulics up his ass or something, and his knees were just juiced to the maximum, and that was his move. He was really a super cool dude, and we was laughing. I said, dude, I saw he had his kid in the car, and this little kid I said, your grandson? No, man, that's my son. My man was 59 years old to have his first kid. You know, so I mean, that's how far back we go. And this is just some random old school player tidbits, man, that I hope that some of these folks on this in the chat room will be able to experience when you guys get our age and still be able to talk about old times without having to worry about burying folks unnecessarily. That's just something I would like to see y'all be able to do, man. That's 100.
Amen. Amen, dude. J. Cole has a great line. All he wants to do is see his friends get old.
Yeah.
Great, man.
That's a good line.
And stay paid. Yeah, I'm gonna send you that song. It's a really good song. Okay. Let's keep with the questions. This is one from the comment section on Lonzo's page. Let's see. Oh, this is from let's see. We already did Nightbreed, so I'm gonna skip that one for right now. Nightbreed, we coming through.
Hold on. That ain't Charlie Wu. That's somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
All right. T wants to know, Lonzo, any chance of doing an update on all the artists that were on your Sound Control Mob, Compton Cartel, and First Harvest project?
Woo! The First Harvest project is probably going to be the hardest one because most of those guys I didn't know personally. They all
Have we talked about that one?
The First Harvest? No.
Okay.
Because
break it down real quick.
I formed a company called All Access Records. And All Access Records, basically what I would do, because CDs were so expensive, nobody could really afford to make a CD by themselves. At that time, CDs might have been like $1,500, $2,000 just to make a CD. So what I did, I cut a deal. I found somebody who could make them a little bit cheaper, like maybe $1,000 or something like that, maybe $1,000, $1,200. So I would give guys a chance. Bring me your pre-mixed music and $350, and I would make a CD. And once the CD was made, everybody got I think they got 10 copies or something like that, and they would buy the copies from me, and then they go and sell them and make their money. And it worked. We only did one project. It worked. No, we did two projects. We did that, and I think Flamin' was done the same way. And so I didn't really know these guys personally. And they came in. We did the project. Everybody got their CDs. Everybody was happy. I think I gave them like 50 CDs or something like that, because I think it might have been 1,000 or something. It was you got 1,000 CDs for whatever was 1,000, something like that. Anyway, I forgot the exact deal, but it was worthwhile, because by the time they got paid me, they had enough CDs to get their money back just by selling the CDs at $10 a piece. So it might have been 50 or 1,000. It might have been 50. I'm not sure. But anyway, it was 1,000 printed, but they all got 50 a piece, something like that. Anyway, it was a good deal. So that was first round knockout. For me now, first inner city harvest. The first two compilations, Sound Control Mob, that was brought to me by DJ Slip. He produced all of those tracks. And then the second one we did, Compton Cartel, that was guys that Mike T, Looney Tunes, X-Con. That was like my second crew who was who was in the dugout waiting to be on the next compilation. And I think that one went to shit. What label? Who distributed that son of a bitch? I think it might have been Triple X. Anyway, I had a bunch of record deals back. I had deals all over. I had Macola, had my own company. I had all kind of shit going on back in the day. So I had to look at the album to see who distributed
The Compton Cartel?
Yeah, it was Par Records.
Oh, there you go. Rudy Parr?
No, that was Par. That was another company called Par out of Macola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
Gotcha.
see Puppy in the house. What's up, Snake?
What up, Snake Puppy? Legend. Let's talk about a little bit about Mike T, Lonzo. Break down Mike T, what you remember about his come up. We talked about him a lot on the show. Mike
T was a brother out of Inglewood, straight up Inglewood blood. And he come around, he was producing. And at some point in time, he joined Compton's Most Wanted, which was some Crips out of Compton. And he's always been a cool brother. In fact, let's see if he can answer his damn phone tonight.
Another alley-oop, baby. Smash that like.
See if he can answer his phone.
Once again, shout out to the legend Snake Puppy checking in the building with us.
Mike, he usually answers his phone. He's probably is he in the
Hi,
day?
you've reached 1-424-380-3.
All right, make sure we don't get
It's after the tone.
Mike T, you ain't on the chat room. I'm calling you right now. They're asking about you, man. I'm trying to get you on the show right quick. If you get this message before 7 o'clock, holler back. Peace. So yeah, Doc. He's using the chat room. I don't see him today though.
Yeah, it's all good. He'll reach back out.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Perry Gibson wants to know, Lonzo, do you remember Camelot Music? They carried your music.
Camelot Music, yeah. It was funny because Camelot used to be one of my accounts, and I worked at a record shack. My last job was I worked for a record distributor called Record Shack, and Camelot was one of my accounts. And I remember at Macola, they were one of Macola's accounts as well. So yeah.
Nice.
It is what it is, dude. And I tell people my story, how weird it is. I mean, one day I'm selling records to stores. Next day I got records in the stores. One day I'm a customer at K-Day. Next time I'm getting played on K-Day. It just, yeah, it was like that. I mean, one day I got one club. I'm probably the only promoter that promoted multiple clubs at one time. I had Dudos on Fridays, Skateland on Saturdays. When I went back to the Eve, I had downstairs the Boom Boom Room, upstairs the Loft, and I was doing the Proud Bird all at the same time. I did the Proud Bird on Saturday nights. So on Saturday nights, all I did was picked up money. I just rolled around picking up money. No bullshit. At 1:30, I would leave. I'd leave even after dark and go down to the Proud Bird, pick up a couple of racks, come back home, come back to the club, and close out upstairs and downstairs. And I'd have shit, man. It was a great time.
Man, sounds like a blast. Hey, somebody wants to send you some love, Lonzo. It was in a comment on a random video on your channel. It's LeBaron King. Not sure if that rings a bell, but he says, I used to fly to LA and meet with this brother and his artists, World-Class Wrecking Crew, Egyptian Lover, and a couple others. This dude used to look out for me in the bowels of Los Angeles. I still have the 12-inch disc he asked me to play on KPOO, radio station, I guess, the original and the first rap music show on the West Coast. Thank you, Lonzo Williams. Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely, but I remember. Anytime somebody's in my presence, Doc, I got to look out for them. I can't let nobody get hurt, especially from out of town. That was not our get down, man. We always protected people like that, dude. I mean, it was a different time. So we had to look out for folks. In fact, I was just being unknown. Was just talking before the show started. I was telling about the Ice Cube interview. Did we talk about that last week?
Not to an extent. No, go for it.
Well, when Ice Cube did them dirty raps back at Dudos that time, I think I was talking to I just talked to one of the lieutenants that was working for me at Dudos. We just kicking it, and real cool dude. But all of a sudden, homeboy makes this beeline straight to me with a face. You can see this dude.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah,
where you could have got arrested. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I tell people forget that at that time, I was the big dog of the entertainment thing. So people literally dropping their kids off in my hands. Okay. Cube and them are kids at my house, in my studio. People are literally dropping their kids off at Dudos. Sometimes people drop their kids off at Eve After Dark. So I'm responsible for people's children. If you ever want to get fucked up in the worst kind of way, or as I said, if you ever want to get 50 shades of fucked up, let somebody's kid get hurt under your tutelage or under your regime. It's not going to be a pretty sight because they ain't going to understand nothing. So I had to be overprotective of everybody that came in my realm because I was looking out for myself and for them. Who wants somebody's mama on their head? Because again, talking about a different time. Who wants somebody's mama on their head because their kid got hurt at your venue? Nah, and that's bad for business, because everybody talk. You think they talk now? They talk back then. They didn't need no social media back then. When somebody's kid get hurt at one of my venues, I'm out of business. Period. So yeah, I had to be that responsible adult in the room, and I think that's one of the things that we're missing in a lot of these events. There's no real responsible adults in the room. Everybody, people's attitudes in a lot of ways, let kids do what the fuck they want to because they're making money. Let them say what they want to because they're making money. Let them come in dressed any kind of way. And don't put no kind of guidance on them whatsoever because they're making money or they're gonna make money off of them. They don't care because they're making money off of them. Just like me and Unknown was just talking about Lizzo. I like Lizzo. I think she's a talented girl, but people will pump her up into thinking that being that overweight is healthy. And the people that's doing it are probably gonna make money off her by selling some big girl clothes, some big girl eyelashes, or some insulin, or some food, or something. They don't care about her health. They don't care about that. All they care is that they're gonna make money off of her in some way, form, or fashion. They can create a new fashion trend where all girls get big and get oversized and try to rap and sing. Fine, because I got the big girl clothes. I'm gonna make a mint off of big girl clothes. Bitch, gonna be playing fake flutes and shit, trying to be like Lizzo. And I'm not clowning her. I'm just saying people don't care. When it comes to money, people don't care.
Yep.
Okay, and
Damn.
like my boy said, yeah, they'll make her the incident spokesman. They give a fuck. Okay,
Damn.
give a fuck.
Cold game.
It's a cold game. If you looking at something, man, and you see that the same people that own the food, the poisonous food that we eat, also got money invested in the the pharmaceutical industry. It's a big old circle, dude. Your health is not your health is not the priority. The priority is for them to get paid dividends, baby. That's it. Anything else?
The same company that supplies food to your public schools supplies it to the prisons as well.
Okay.
Shout out to Cisco.
Okay. And they look alike. Schools look like prisons. Okay, they design them to look like, so you feel comfortable in them. Come on, man. Don't get me started. They'll take us off the air.
Whew, man. Let's move on. Keith Thorning, he says, hey guys, big love from the UK. This is kind of a long question, so bear with me. He says, quick question, or maybe something you can cover. Most B-boys in the UK discovered world-class Wrecking Crew via the Street Sounds Electro compilations. Notably, World Class on Electro 9 and Cabbage Patch on Electro 16, and Juice and Surgery on the New York versus LA Beats compilation. Did those licensing agreements make you much money, as they were a major influence on the early UK scene? We grew up on these songs and they are still loved by many aging B-boys to this day.
All stolen.
Ooh, break it down.
All stolen. Don McMillan, I have never done a deal. I own all the masters for Crew Cut and World Class Record Crew. I've never done a deal with Street Sounds. Never. Okay. I did one deal through JDC for a Street Sounds project, I think years ago. I've never got a royalty check yet. I ain't got a publishing check yet. I ain't seen nothing yet. Okay. And how he got World Class or something else you mentioned that was on my CBS album had to be the straight theft, because
Cabbage Patch, Juice and Surgery on the New York versus LA compilation.
Those are mine. Those are all mine, directly mine. You'd have to go through CBS to get. I think it's World Class he mentioned also. I'm not World Class, but something else he mentioned.
World Class, Electro 9. Cabbage Patch, Electro 16, Juice and Surgery. That's it. Yeah.
Those are all mine. Yeah. Don McMillan did some bullshit back in the day, and we all trying to get his ass right now. Thank you for the support, though. I appreciate it, though. Nah, I ain't even shit yet. That's how cold the game is, man.
Wow, bro. So you didn't even know they were bumping your. Did you have a feeling you had a UK audience back then?
Yes, because back then we played Wembley Stadium one time back in 85, I think it was, with Sir Mix-a-Lot, Africa Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5. And we was rocking. I mean, it was a big show, and so yeah, we definitely knew we had a following. But as far as any overseas royalties monies, no, I have yet to see them. In fact, I got a publishing manager right now trying to corral all my money together right now. That's no bullshit.
All right, man. Next question. Yo, Lonzo, do you have any Ollie and Jerry stories? Any interaction, cross pass shows, contribution to West Coast hip hop?
Ollie and Jerry. Why do I know that?
I remember them from the Breaking movies. They had a few songs in the Breaking soundtrack. I'll look it up while you're here. Let's see. I know somebody help us out in the chat, because I know they were huge in that Breaking movie.
Oh no, you know anything about Ollie and Jerry? Dre. You know anything about Ollie and Jerry? Ollie and Jerry.
Let's see. Yeah, there's no stopping us. Ain't no stopping us. No stopping. No one does it better.
We wouldn't play that either, Kadari.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably the only song I know. It was probably the only one from Breaking. All right, nope. So no Ollie and Jerry stories. There you go.
Nope.
Sorry, guys. They can't all be winners. Let's see. Yo, Lonzo and Dusty, isn't EAZY the first rapper to have the first CD interactive video game? Was Arabian Prince ever part of that due to his technological background?
I'm not familiar with the CD.
Yeah, never heard of that.
I never heard it either.
Okay.
Not familiar with
give us some more info if you know about it in the chat. Give us some more info.
Let me know.
Yeah, for real. D Minor says, did you come across Leon Silvers and Solar Records?
Not directly, but indirectly, yes. My partner who worked, if you look at some of my record crew records, you'll see the name Willie Z, William Zimmerman. He was my engineer and producer of quite a few of my stuff, and CMW. He was the right hand man for Leon Silvers. I met him briefly at a convention one time. No stories though.
You know, you've mentioned these names in the past, but we haven't really gone deep into them. Can you explain who Calvin and Cletus were?
Woo, Calvin and Cletus Anderson. These were two of the most influential brothers that were not actually rappers at the time. Cletus owned the VIP record chain, and he was a powerful retailer here in the 70s and 80s. I mean, VIP Records was giving everybody the blues. In fact, Cletus even told me I interviewed him. He told me that one time he got so powerful when he would order his records from certain distributors, they would just pull up a semi truck and trailer, just unhook it and leave it there so they can unload it. It would take that long to unload the records. Kelvin, his brother, they're all from Mississippi. Kelvin, you ever watch American Gangster with Denzel Washington?
One of my favorite gangster movies of all time.
Cletus was Bumpy Johnson. Not Bumpy Johnson. Was it Bumpy Johnson?
Bumpy or Nick. So it was probably Bumpy Johnson, the older one, the one that he idolized.
No, the one that Denzel Washington played.
Oh, Denzel played the guy from North Carolina. Keep going though.
He played him. Okay, he brought all his family down from Mississippi to open record stores. Okay, he brought
Frank something.
Frank Lucas.
Frank Lucas. There we go.
Frank Lucas. Cletus was Frank Lucas. Okay, Cletus was doing so good down here in LA. He sent for all his brothers from down south to come to California and open up record stores. So Kelvin and his other younger brother opened up a record store. I mean, it got to the point where it was like it was franchising VIP record stores. It was so powerful, especially with the record industries. They would just franchise. And Kelvin opened up VIP Long Beach. That's the one that Snoop, Warren G,
Anthony on Top in the Roof,
and Nate Dogg. Yeah, right. They all came out of there. And between Kelvin, Lonzo, Adrian Gregory, you got the Godfathers or the people that provide the early platform, Tupac, Snoop, and Dre. Okay, that's Kelvin he's from the retail standpoint. Cletus, Cletus and Kelvin were my clients when I worked at Record Shack. So one day I'm selling records on the phone to these guys, and this is why my legacy was so interesting, because when I started bootlegging, my last job was a salesman for a record distributor. Kelvin and Cletus were my clients. I left the record company, got fired from that, started making my bootlegs shortly after that, and made them clients again for my own company. So as I'm selling, me and Unknown, we both competing for records to sell to the various stores. Cletus and Kelvin buying from us. Now, Cletus got tentacles up north, Camelot, Associated Records, Schwartz Brothers, all the major independents. Cletus know everybody because he's been buying from everybody. So now he's selling to everybody. So I would drop off, 1,000, 1,200 CD, 12 inches to Cletus, and get a big old knot of money, a knot full of money, and go to the Eve After Dark. Do the same thing for Calvin. Then start doing Steve Yano. So it just was a interesting time. And I was telling Unknown earlier how I missed the physical product, because you can't make you can't really sell something that it's not tangible. And that's what made our time a lot different for us. Cletus, like I said, he was one of my main customers. It wouldn't be shit for Cletus to give me a check for $4,000 or give me cash for $4,000. It wouldn't be shit on a Friday afternoon. I'm running down there to drop off his order so he can ship it off, before he can meet UPS. Meantime, I got to go back to the club and get set up for the club. It made the club almost obsolete sometimes. It made the club almost obsolete. it just almost made the club obsolete, and it was just a time. Cletus would hire us to do scratches. Cletus has a song called Killer Dayton's on his label. I think his label Saturn Records. Dre did the scratching for Cletus for that record, Killer Dayton's. Cletus was a gambler. He didn't mind spending money, so and he would invest in his own stuff. He told me I never got paid for a lot of stuff he did, but because again, he wasn't looking at it from a publishing standpoint. He was looking at it from a retail standpoint. So he didn't take care of the business that he should have. And I think California Want to Party? That's his shit. Okay. I think that came from one of his projects. So it's all, it's all connected, Doc. It's all connected.
If this ain't the dopest West Coast hip hop podcast on the planet, I don't know what is. Everybody's tripping out there if they don't agree with me. But we have a last question, and Unknown, I think I heard his voice in the background. So he could probably answer this. He could probably answer this without showing his face. Guitarist 888 says, excellent podcast, fellas. Speaking of electro, what drum machine did Unknown use for Let's Jam? Was it 808 or 909? And how did you guys do the panning effects on a recording while the song is playing? I can read it over again if you need me to.
What drum machine did you use on
Let's Jam?
Let's Jam. Was that 808 on Let's Jam? Or 909? He's whistling. His brain is aching. He's thinking. Let's Jam.
A serious hip hop fan right here asking this question, boy.
You got just. I think he'll take a shit. You better hurry up. His face like he about to take a dump.
All right, maybe he can answer this next question.
Hold on.
They said, "Oh, go ahead."
It says sequential circuit drummatic and the DX. Oberheim DX. Unknown had connections straight to Oberheim. He used to get custom sounds made for his drum machine. Yeah, he got it from Oberheim. He would tell them, "Hey, we need this sound." They would digitize a chip for him, and he dropped the shit in there.
We made those scratches. Me and Yellow would go up there and scratch, and they would take the sounds off the record. He even had scratching effects put onto the DMX, the DX and DMX.
Second part of the question was, how did you guys do the panning effects on a recording while the song is playing?
Oh, that was easy. We just back then we manually panned it. Somebody would sit there and go back and forth. That was just something we did.
We was the auto pan.
Yeah, we was the auto pan back then, Doc. Yeah, it wasn't no shit. Nah, that was real shit.
Yeah. There it is. Let's see. Did you ever? Last question is Derek DJ Ism. Did you ever have to deal with getting samples cleared back then?
Not really, because record crew didn't really sample that much. We never really did a lot of samples. While the time, right, and yeah, like you said, back then. Oh yeah, we did. We had to sample a Bugs Bunny. We had to clear a Bugs Bunny sample on our CBS album. I think it was Daffy Duck, a Daffy Duck sample from Warner Brothers Music Maestro, some shit like that. We had to clear that shit. Other than that was it. Back then, a sampler for us, only makes sample in 1 or 2 seconds. It was like, dude, maximum. It wasn't until later on we started seeing, the Kai samplers would give you maybe 4 seconds or 8 seconds at the most, and you had to put them on 2 different keys back then. You couldn't just hold it, Then by the time we got to the SP 1200s, and even that's not a long ass sample at all. Right.
Damn.
It was, on the SP 12, like Unknown said, you had to do you might have 4 seconds the whole thing once you trunk. Yeah, for the whole keyboard. So you had to grab every sound individually. You had a sound for a second for the snare, a second for the hi-hat, a second for the kick, and that's it. And that's it. And if you're lucky, you do it in the millisecond, you might get 2. But yeah, it was a lot different back then, dude.
Records in 78, you get it in,
yeah.
You slow it down.
Yep. Unknown said they would play the records at 78, speed it up, and then get it in on the sample and slow it down in the drum machine.
Woo, these kids don't know how good they got it, dude, with this Fruity Loops and
come on, man. They have no idea. If they knew with the shit we had to go through, they would have got to join the army. Anyway.
And that's what made it, real quick, we'll wrap it up with this. That's what made hip hop so special back then, because not everybody could fucking do it. You had to have the talent, you had to have the knowledge and the patience to fucking cut and paste and do all that shit you guys were just talking. Nowadays, you could literally sit in front of a computer and learn how to do it in 30 minutes.
And you had to have the money. Money kept a lot of people out of hip hop. Money, if you didn't know how to do shit, like I had a few dollars from the club. I had good credit. You know, they had a thing. I remember when I bought my last SP 1200, they had a thing at Nadine's Music. Walk in there and give them my ID, and you walk out with a drum machine. I wouldn't got never mind. Anyway, I got me a drum machine. Okay. Yeah. Different times, folks. Different times.
Man, always a pleasure doing this show with you, Lonzo. Any last words? And thank you so much for, just showing love and giving us, the true West Coast hip hop history. Because like I said, I don't know any other podcast doing this right now. The East Coast is getting covered. I don't know if the South is getting covered too much. I definitely know the West Coast ain't getting covered as much as they should. We're the only ones right now doing it. I just
reached out to one of my buddies from Senator Steve Bradford here in the state of California. And we want to do they're going to honor some players from the West Coast on the Senate floor in Sacramento mid-August. And I'm part of the committee. It was my idea, but it kind of got tossed to a committee, some other folks. And I had to explain to them that we cannot just give recognition to the artists that people know. There are too many people behind the scenes that did too much for West Coast hip hop not to be recognized. And the more artists you recognize from the East Coast is going to minimize the people from the West Coast. So I have no problem. I love everybody. I ain't got no problem with nobody East Coast or West Coast. But I think we have to focus on our own thing and stop trying to include everybody. Give our boys some shine. Give our people some shine because they deserve it. They put a lot of work into it. Kelvin, Greg Mack, D Barnes, JJ Fad. I mean, they get looked over for everything. JJ Fad is probably one of the workingest groups on the West Coast.
Oh, they're still killing. I saw them less than a year ago in Long Beach, and they killed it, dog.
JJ Fad works more than any rap act. I don't know how much money they get, but they hit the stage more than anybody else. Why? Because their music is up-tempo, it's fun, and non-threatening. They can go anywhere and party with anybody, and everybody loves them, and that makes a big difference. So yeah, JJ Fad, Violet Brown, who I had on my show before, she was the reason why we got into Warehouse Records. Okay, no, she's not an artist, but she's well respected and well known by all the artists. So to overlook these people, continue to overlook these people, and keep giving the same people the same accolades like nobody else did nothing, it's bullshit. And as long as I can help it, it ain't gonna happen. So anyway, folks, that's what.
Always a pleasure, man.
Much love, folks. See y'all next Tuesday. Peace.